Welcome to John Esser Sports Channel, where we're going to take you through League One, Week 39. We're already there, guys, and we're going to go through a prediction video for League One. We're going to start with Thursday's game, and it's a Thursday 8 o'clock kickoff. It's Leyton Orient versus Stevenage Borough. Let's have a look at a few of the statistics as we go through the teams. With Leyton Orient, it's 1.4 goals scored on average against a Stevenage side of 0.9. So Stevenage over this season have not really hit it off quite as much, have they? Goals conceded, though, 1.0 each on average. So they're really very, very even on that. Shots off target 4.1 against 3.6. Not too much different there. Stevenage Borough win that contest. Shots on target 4.1 to Leyton Orient and Stevenage 3.4. So really, they're better again there, Stevenage Borough. 5.2 corners usually for Stevenage, for Leyton Orient. Stevenage 5.0, not much difference there. Leyton Orient, we've got 2.2 cards on average for Leyton Orient, 2.0 for Stevenage. This is quite an even game, isn't it? There's not an awful lot of difference. The only things that we can really say from these two sides is that we're almost certain to get a goal from Leyton Orient. They're almost certain to score here. However, we're not always sure that Stevenage Borough will score. So what's been the history behind the last 6 games? We have Leyton Orient lose, and win. I mean, they even lost against Rotherham, for heaven's sake. How on earth did they do that? And Stevenage Borough win, draw, lose, draw. This is two sides that are desperately trying to sort of regain some of that impetus that they had at parts during the season. Stevenage had got halfway through the period we've just had. They had a really good period coming from the lower half and now 13th position. Leyton Orient top 6, and now they're 9th position and starting to show a bit of a slide there. 5 defeats and then 1 win against Blackpool, 2-1 away. Was away, and Blackpool are usually really good defensively at home. So that actually to me shows that they're perhaps starting to turn a corner. Whereas Stevenage, they're a little bit up and down, aren't they? They seem to be playing pretty decent football. I'd say that their defence is actually quite solid. You look at the last 6 games, let 0 in, 2 in, 0, 1, 2 against Birmingham though, and 1. So really it's 0s and 1s with the 2 against Birmingham and 2 against Huddersfield. Top sides from the Championship. So I'm sort of looking at this thinking that we could see a Stevenage win quite easy because the defences seem to be on the whole quite similar. Stevenage Borough seemingly, though, have the edge, I think, on scoring. The main team news for this game is Leyton Orient will be without star Jamie Donnelly due to his international call-up. Ethan Galbraith will probably be getting in there in his absence. So anything else? Yeah, Daniel Phillips completes his 2-match ban for picking up 10 yellow cards. I think that probably Jordan Roberts will stick in there instead. I'm going to go against people here. A lot of people saying Leyton Orient should still be able to do this. They certainly showed a good resilience against Blackpool, 2-1 win and away from home. And it's Blackpool at home. Really good defence, like I just said. a lot of people going for a 2-1 win to Leyton Orient. I'm actually going to go the opposite way. I'm going to go Leyton Orient 1, Stevenage 2, and we're going to flip that completely the opposite way. But I know that a lot of people are thinking Leyton Orient have the edge here, and we'll go on to Saturday's games. Keep in there, guys. We're going to go Saturday. So, next up, Charlton versus Huddersfield. This is one of those games, wasn't it, that we all looked at, and I'm sure you're saying you're agreeing with me. At the beginning of the season, we would have said this was going to be one of the top 4, 5, 6 games in League One. At the moment, these two sides are indeed 4th for Charlton, 6th for Huddersfield. Perhaps the other way around, most of us were thinking. However, they are up there now, and Charlton have took the season by the round spherical objects and taking it straight to the top. They weren't this good, were they, in the middle? They were great at the beginning. A really big chunk of the season they've been really quite disappointing, but they've seemed to have recaptured some of their technical abilities. Not all of it. I still think there's an improvement to this side. Let's have a look at the season stats for Charlton. This season, goals scored 1.3 against Huddersfield's 1.4. Goals conceded 0.9 against 0.9. Oh wow, their defences are indeed very good indeed, aren't they? It could be a little bit better. I think Charlton's are probably, to me, Charlton's is heading in the improved direction, and I think Huddersfield's is pretty much stationary. Shots off target, which I think is important, 4.6 for Charlton, 4.3 for Huddersfield. So Huddersfield really a little bit better there as far as the number that go awry. For goals, shots on target, 4.3 to Charlton, 4.6 to Huddersfield. So Huddersfield actually getting just a little bit more actually on target. Shots on target, corners 5.6 to Charlton, 6.7 to Huddersfield. Now this does show you that they do tend to go down into that corner and pull it across, which means that's where they tend to just nick a couple of corners. I don't think it's on the whole. I mean, you can get it from long shots, just blasted, but they're not really a long shot, long range effort and off target type of team. I think it's more from the corner and trying to drag it in. Yellow cards, red cards, 1.9 for Charlton and 1.9 for Huddersfield. So here we're seeing Huddersfield, I would say, slightly ahead. Not too much difference between these teams, to be quite honest. And we're really not seeing a great deal, especially from the stats, as to how we would be seeing this heading. Well, I'm not finding many news stories about these two, so let's go for Charlton's last 6. Win, win, draw, win, win, lose, and we're seeing getting a little bit of a pattern there, aren't we? Huddersfield, lose, lose, win, lose, lose, win. Of course, they won last time out 5-1 against Crawley, and really that should have been a lot more, shouldn't it? I do think that there's a lot to be said for these two teams. They do seem to be able to score. The interesting thing is, I got a Huddersfield fan on saying, yeah, we really did need to change manager. I think at the time of change, he said they'd not scored at home since this year, I think he said, and that is absolutely amazing, isn't it? I didn't realise it was that bad. And it's taken Huddersfield from a point where I thought they could actually challenge for that second position to, yeah, they're really hoping to keep at that top 6, because now they're in 6th position, just 1 point above Bolton and 2 points above Reading. And you're thinking, now it's looking a little bit more shaky, isn't it? But they do seem to have turned it around. The new management does seem to have made enough changes to be able to do something different. From scoring nothing at home for weeks on end to scoring 5 against Crawley, you have to be happy as a Huddersfield fan, don't you? Charlton, I think, have the upper hand here. Let's see what everyone else is thinking. There's a lot of people thinking that this could be a draw, which would be quite a reasonable thought, I think, certainly for two sides at the top half of the table. So most people thinking Charlton or a draw, and realistically looking at this, it's going to be difficult because I can see Huddersfield perhaps nicking it because they just seem to be on a roll with this new manager, or getting rid of the old one at least, and sort of we just seem to be a little bit better. They're trying to impress the people that are there at the minute, and you can see they are. There is a little bit more effort. That 5-1 win was actually a lot. It was really, really easy. It's really comfortable for me to watch that one. I'm going to go with the guys saying Charlton because I think that we don't quite know what's happening at Huddersfield yet. We don't know what they're going to be doing, how they're going to be playing, how he wants to set things up, and how it's going to be set up in the future. So we're going to have to go along with the majority. And I'm going to go with Charlton 2, Huddersfield 1, and we'll go on from there. But it could be the other way around. So we'll keep our new format up, shall we? It's Stockport versus Burton. Now 1.4 goals scored, for Stockport, 1.0 for Burton, and that is a significant one when you take it over a full season. For goals conceded, it's 0.8 for Stockport, and for Burton it's 1.4, which is really, really showing a big difference here. They are likely to concede a lot more than what Stockport are. And then we go for shots off target, which I always say is interesting. More shots off target can mean that you're just not all your shots are off target and none of them are on target. It's dreadful. Even if you do 20 shots off target, if you get 0 on target, then I don't think that stat is really a very good one to follow. But when we look at them in tandem, we see that Stockport have 4.1 shots off target, 5.0 on target. That is really, really impressive. Whereas you've got Burton on 3.5 shots off target, 3.2 shots on target. So they actually, it's almost 50-50 for Burton. If they shoot, they tend to get 1 off target, 1 on target, which is pretty good. Whereas, Stockport, they're more likely to be on target than they are off target. So it's an even better view there. So these two sides have really got some good marksmen as far as getting it on target. Both of these figures are really, really good, which means although we've got a better Stockport side, corners 4.9 to Stockport and 4.1 to Burton. 1.9 cards for Stockport, 2.1 for Burton. There's not an awful lot of difference in some of those figures. The ones I would be looking at are the goals conceded. There's not an awful lot of news on this one either. So what have we got for Stockport? Stockport are in 5th. Burton are in 21st. They're really wanting to catch up the likes of Bristol Rovers. I was actually impressed with their last game. I thought that Burton did really well. A Shrewsbury Town 2-0 win. They played excellently, I thought, and they do look like they could turn this season around. But how many points are they behind Bristol Rovers? 6 points behind, and we've got 7 games after this, isn't it? No, 10 games. This is going to be their 38th. So there's 10 games left after this. And you're thinking, this could be very, very close, couldn't it? They're going to really, really struggle to get that. But I think they might be able to do it. Stockport, lose, win, draw, draw, win, lose against Burton Albion's win, win, draw, lose, lose, win. Their 2 defeats, though, were against Wycombe 2-0 and Bolton 2-1. You have to start thinking that the only 2 sides they've lost against are sides in that top area that are doing really well. However, Stockport are such a side. Remember, they are in 5th. So will they struggle just like they did against Wycombe and Bolton? That is the big question, isn't it? I'm going to surprise people here. Stockport County are by far the most bet on side. 13-25 Stockport County, 23-5 for Burton Albion. I think this is going to be 1-0, and I'm really torn because I think it could be 1-0 either way. If Burton really do play as well as I think they played against Shrewsbury, they could be the thorn in the side against Stockport County, absolutely. But I'm going with what most people say. I'm going to go with Stockport 1, Burton 0. But very, very, very careful, Stockport. This could be one of those bogey sides that just come back to bite you because they've got a lot to play for. But so has Stockport. Interesting game. Let's see what the score is at the end of the day. So let's go for the game and a half. This one is the Birmingham game. Welcome to my Birmingham subscribers. Thank you very much for joining. Please do like, subscribe, and please do watch till the end. Please. Does help the channel even if you don't watch it. Birmingham versus Shrewsbury, and Birmingham obviously, well, they're in first place, aren't they? They're not going to move from there. Shrewsbury in 24th, first versus 24th. The goal difference for Shrewsbury, importantly, is -28. So let's just have a look at how that fits in with the season, shall we? Goals scored for Birmingham, 1.8 against 0.9. My eyesight's dreadful here, isn't it? 1.6. So let's go to Birmingham versus Shrewsbury next. Birmingham in first, Shrewsbury in 24th. Shrewsbury with a goal difference of -28. Birmingham with +35. Let's see how that fits in, shall we? It's Birmingham with 1.6 goals per game and Shrewsbury Town with 0.9. So we're really talking a big difference here. Even on an average day, Birmingham could quite easily win this one 2 or 3-0. Let's see what the rest of the stats say. Goals conceded, 0.7 to Birmingham. Almost never. A really good defence there. They tend to be caught out by people on the break. However, Shrewsbury Town, 1.7 goals per game conceded. That's on average, and we've got a good Birmingham side here, and Birmingham are at home. Shots off target for Birmingham, 4.2. On target, 4.6. Some of these figures are a bit small. For Shrewsbury Town, it's 3.7 shots off target, 2.9 on target. So a lot more off target, just trying to hit it from distance. Will that help against Birmingham? Well, they're probably going to be forced to do it from distance, so I don't think there's going to be too much difference there. Corners, 5.9 for Birmingham, 4.5 for Shrewsbury, so they both seem to be pretty decent as far as going down the middle or sort of slightly outwards, but yeah, they seem to be pretty much similar type styles of side as far as where the ball's going on the field. Cards, 1.8 for Birmingham, 2.3 for Shrewsbury, and I have seen that in the last few games. They have they have been going in a little bit hard, a little bit rash, and you've been thinking, I'm not quite sure if that's a great idea when you're down there, but they have actually been doing that. So the statistics seem to be showing certainly a Birmingham win here, but it's a case of by how much, isn't it? So let's have a look. We have Birmingham win, lose against Bolton 3-1, win, draw against Northampton. Really strange that. And we have Shrewsbury Town, lose, draw, lose. The only point they got was at home against Bristol Rovers, a side down there as well. And apart from Birmingham poised to sign Alfred Samsted on a permanent deal, there's not much else in the news. So I'm sort of thinking how many Birmingham are going to win. I can't see them letting one in. Really can't. Looking at the goals scored by Shrewsbury and how they've been doing over the past few games. The last time they scored was 4 games ago, 3-1 defeat against Peterborough. Can't see them doing that here. I'm going to go for Birmingham City 5, Shrewsbury Town 0. I'm sorry, Shrewsbury fans. I really can't see 1st versus 24th being very much of a competition. I hope I'm wrong. I hope you have a great game, and I hope you the travellers, travelling fans from Shrewsbury, still have a good time over in Birmingham. So let's quickly go to Blackpool Bolton, and it's Blackpool in 10th at home to Bolton in 7th, and this could actually be quite an interesting game because Blackpool are in 54 points, or 7 points behind Huddersfield in 6th, and you're thinking this could be one of the last chances they've got, because they're going to have played 39 games after this, and it's going to be difficult to see them getting too many points in the last few games. I think I miscalculated one of the others, didn't we? It's obviously 46 games we play, not 48 as I calculated earlier. So what have we got? Blackpool, we've got goals scored 1.5, 1.6 to Bolton, as you can expect. Not too much difference there. Goals conceded for Blackpool 1.4, goals conceded for Bolton 1.5. So they're better at scoring, but they're slightly worse in defence. Not too much difference there then. They may let one in, but they're likely to score perhaps once every so often extra up front. So how about shots off target for Blackpool 5.1, on target 4.6. For Bolton, it's just the same ratio. It's slightly dropped. It's 4.4 on target and 4.4 again. So actually, Blackpool there showing that they have a tendency to just shoot and not be controlled enough and get it on target, whereas Bolton are exactly 50-50. Half of the time that shot will be on target, half of the time it's wayward. We have to think that the clinicality of this and the number of goals scored has to come into effect. Well, the more clinical Bolton, by a little bit, and they're likely to score about the same number. So if they can just start to put a few more shots in, you can see how the number of goals could go up quite significantly, couldn't they? Corners for Blackpool 5, for Bolton 5.2. Yellow and red cards 1.6 for Blackpool, but it's 2.7 per game for Bolton, and I've not really noticed this, but they've got quite a reasonably high turnover of cards here. And you have to think that can make a fair bit of difference. You get a yellow card, you do tend to pull away from challengers just a little bit. So what are the bookies saying? Well, with not much news this weekend at all, is there? The odds are stacked certainly in the favour of Blackpool. 5-4 on 5-4 against for Blackpool. 19-10, almost 2-1 for Bolton Wanderers. And this is because Blackpool, on the whole, are very good at home. Their defensive record at home is usually really good. Looking at the stats, though, it seems to put that Bolton would certainly be seen to be having a little slightly more improved in the goals shot again and the goals on target. So it's going to be interesting that that great Blackpool defence may be the crux of it, and that's what the bookies seem to, and people out there seem to be thinking. Yes, Bolton can get more of them on target. However, that Blackpool defence is actually rather good, especially at home. Even though Leyton Orient, last time they played at home, 2-1 defeat, and they did let 2 in. So how do we see the last 6 games for Blackpool? It's lose, draw, win, win, lose against Orient, and a win against Northampton. 2-0 win against Northampton. I thought that they really should have been thinking a better performance against Northampton, who've been particularly consistent these last few games. Bolton Wanderers win, draw, win, win, lose, lose, and they just seem to have lost the edge a bit here and lost the plot. I think that some of those figures seem to be a little bit skewed. 3-2 defeat away at Bristol Rovers, for instance. You know, I really did think that was going to be a draw for most of that game, but then they just couldn't get that back to 3-3. Stockport County, that was a disappointing 1-0 defeat to me, and it was at home as well. So I'm thinking I'm going to go with the way people are thinking, the way the bookies are thinking. How far do I think it's going to go? You know, I'm going to go with Blackpool 2, Bolton 0, surprisingly, and we'll move on to the next game. So let's look at Bristol Rovers versus Mansfield Town, and of course Mansfield Town are going to be out without their main striker for the rest of the season, so it's going to be interesting. Because they do seem to have they dried up on their goals, and they've been playing some really pretty football, but not getting the actual goals that they need. They have started to make a few extra shots now, and I'm pleased for my fans, including the one of the subscribers, Roy. Hopefully they can turn some of those shots into more goals as we get into the last few games. They do deserve it. They've been playing really well, and it's a shame that their one brilliant striker gets taken out for the season. Let's look at the stats for Bristol Rovers. Goals first. 1.1 for Bristol Rovers, 1.2 to Mansfield. And we're not seeing an awful lot of difference here, are we? So let's have a look at the other side of it then. The other side of the coin, goals conceded. 1.6 to Bristol Rovers, 1.4 to Mansfield. And we're thinking, there really isn't a lot in here, is there? Shots off target for Bristol Rovers, 3.3. On target, 3.1. Now, this is where I think the difference is. This is where I think we will see a difference in this game. For Mansfield, it's 4.9 shots off target, 3.7 on. There's a lot more shots on and a lot more shots off target. So more shots in a game for Mansfield, which means a bigger opportunity to get one in the net. especially at a time when things seem to have dried up and then have started to improve slightly. Corners for Bristol Rovers 4, corners for Mansfield 4.8, and I think this is going to be one of the critical things. I think that Mansfield do seem to have a good corner in them occasionally. I've seen them tend to take it short and then whip it in, and it does work occasionally. I think this is where they're going to be on top in this game. Cards 2 for Bristol Rovers, 2.2 to Mansfield, and I think that the odds realistically show, it's roughly just over 2-1 against Bristol Rovers, and it's just about evens for Mansfield Town. The table, of course, showing Mansfield dropping now from the top 6 into 17th position. Bristol Rovers, though, in 20th, and they really can't afford to lose, can they? They're nicely situated, 6 points above the bottom 4, but this game could be one of those that they really, really, really need to win, or at least get a draw just to keep those points coming in. Let's have a look at the stats then. For Bristol Rovers, lose against Rotherham 3-2, and realistically, they could quite easily have come away with a draw there. So lose, draw, win, lose, lose. The wins against Bolton and Huddersfield, I mean, they've been against the good sides. Then they draw against Shrewsbury. It's just insane, isn't it? Absolutely. They lose 5-0 against Lincoln City, who aren't really playing so good lately. And they lose against Crawley, who aren't playing that great lately, but they seem to have slightly improved, haven't they? But they're still down there in the bottom end. So you're thinking, they win against the top sides, lose against the bottom sides. It's insane how to work this one out. Mansfield, lose, draw, lose, win against Barnsley. That was really impressive win for me. Well done, Roy. Your side seems to be showing that they can actually weather pressure and put a goal or two in the net. And for that reason, I have to go, I think, with a win to Mansfield. For me, it has to be a case of how many are they likely to score and if Bristol Rovers will score back. I'm going to go with Bristol Rovers 0, Mansfield Town 2, and we'll move on to the next game. So before we go to Cambridge versus Northampton, please do like and subscribe and share as much as you like, please. Supports the channel. Please do help me to continue this going forward. So we've got Cambridge versus Northampton, and we've got Cambridge in 23rd position, Northampton in 19th. I think they're going to be looking over their shoulder, as will Bristol Rovers. If Bristol Rovers get a point, Northampton really do have to be equaling at least what Bristol Rovers do here. Minus 19 on the goal difference, Bristol Rovers minus 22. Not too much difference. They do seem to just have the edge, and they need to keep that edge as they move forward. So let's have a look at goals scored. We've got Cambridge on 0.9. We've got we've got Northampton Town on 1.0. We then have goals conceded, 1.6 for Cambridge, 1.5 for Northampton. Not seeing an awful lot of difference here. Perhaps we can go with the shots and see if that's any different. Cambridge shots off target 3.9, shots on target 3.4. So a reasonable amount of shots on target, a reasonable amount of shots during the game, to be quite honest, for where they are in the league. Northampton 3.5 off target, 3.2 on target. A minuscule amount less shots per game, but you can't really work that one into the equation, can you? Corners for Cambridge 4.5, corners for Northampton 3.7. This is showing me there's actually a difference in style of play with these two, and there is. Cambridge tend to go seemingly from that would be saying they're going more often down the sides than what Northampton are. So Northampton less likely to go down the wings than what Cambridge are. Not saying that they always go down the wings, Cambridge. I'm just saying that they do it on a more often per game than what Northampton do. Cards 2.2 for Cambridge and 1.9 for Northampton. Not an awful lot of difference here. Slightly more for Cambridge, but I don't think that's going to make much difference. This is actually two teams that are really, really rather well matched. The odds on this one, let's have a look at the betting, shall we? It's 13-10 against Cambridge. It's 19-10 against Northampton, and it's roughly 2-1 the draw. They don't seem to be thinking it's going to be a draw. They're thinking it's going to be one way. They're thinking it's slightly edged either way. It's the home side is getting the bets here, and I've been seeing Cambridge and Cambridge have actually, to me, been slightly improving. Not a great deal, but just a little bit here and there. So let's see what the last 6 games show. Cambridge win, lose, draw, and a couple of those losses, I thought they were really, really unfortunate not to get something from them. I did feel for them. Northampton seemed to be, on the other hand, getting points where we thought they might just be able to squeeze a point, and they did. Whereas the Cambridge side, you think they could have squeezed a draw, they just lose 1-0. Northampton lose, draw, win, draw, lose. I can see this one being a very, very tough game. I know people are thinking that Cambridge have the home advantage. They've been doing a little bit better. I'm going to go with what most people are thinking. Cambridge could turn this one around, but it's only going to be a 1-0 to Cambridge or 1-1. I'm going to go with Cambridge 1, Northampton 0, and we're going to continue. But it could be a 1-1, it could be a 0-1, so or 1-0. So it could be either way. We'll go from there and we'll move on to the next game, which is Exeter versus Wrexham. This is surely a one-way street, isn't it? Let's have a look at the stats, shall we? So we got Exeter Wrexham. For goals scored, Exeter 1.1, Wrexham 1.4. They aren't great at putting lots in the net. And that's what gets me. They just seem to be doing enough. They started with a 5 at the back, and they then moved to a 5 in midfield. Didn't quite work at one point. It seems to be they seem to be getting better with that 5 in midfield. But what I have seen is they don't seem to move the formation around very much. Will they be able to do that in Championship? Absolutely not. You have to be able to change things through the game. But we're in League One. It's Exeter City 1.1 goals scored against Wrexham's 1.4. It's goals conceded 1.4 for Exeter, 0.8 for Wrexham. I mean, that just shows you everything, doesn't it? This is a team that very rarely lets one in. Shots off target for Exeter 3.6, shots on target 2.8. They really do need to be aiming 1 or 2 more of those shots actually on the target, don't they? And this is the thing that I've been seeing about Wrexham. Wrexham 5.3 shots off target, 3.6 shots on target. They can, and they have the ability to score a lot more goals than what they do. If only they could convert some of those off target shots on target, they would really be a good few points ahead of where they are now. Corners 4.9 to Exeter, 4.4 to Wrexham. These two sides do tend to get a fair few corners in the game, don't they? Cards 2.3 to Exeter, 1.8 to Wrexham. I think, however, I've seen a few instances where Wrexham players should have got cards and they never did. It's almost like, if you're at the top, it always runs for you. If you're at the bottom, it never does run for you. The decisions just always go against you. And I think that's more like what's happening here. They're not at the top, so they if it's a 50-50 challenge, they'll get a yellow Exeter, whereas Wrexham probably won't. I know that's a bit controversial, but there we are. So let's have a look at the table quickly. Wrexham in second, Exeter in 16th. Neither of them are what you would call a draw side. I don't think this is going to end in a draw. Shall we see what the odds are here? So have a look at the odds, and we'll then look at the last 6 games. 13-5 for Exeter, 9-2 on for Wrexham. It's 47-20 for a draw. Not too much difference there. I think that Wrexham almost certainly are going to win this one, but let's have a look at the stats. Exeter draw, win, draw. You haven't lost in the last 6, and they are doing rather well. And so it's quite an interesting match when you think how many that Exeter have gone without losing. Wrexham draw, win, lose, win, losing as Reading away 2-0. Yeah, I think this is going to be a little bit more even than what the bookies think. And when I look at the last 6 for Exeter as far as goals conceded, just for the last 6, it's 1-0, 0-0, 1-0. Exeter are on a roll as far as that defence goes. It's just a shame that they just can't seem to get that good defence and get a point for it, get more than just 1 point for it. You know, they were slightly the better team away at Rotherham. They drew 1-1, came back to equalise. They really should have gone in the lead there, but it seems from me they played like in the last 2 games they've played like a team on the beach, and I just think that this team is almost setting itself up for next year, and they're doing a damn good job about it. And I think that this could be a really interesting game. I'm going to go with Exeter 1, Wrexham 1. I think that this great defence of Exeter will actually continue, and we'll move on to the next game. So we go Reading Peterborough next, and Reading are in 8th place, 59 points, just 2 points behind Huddersfield in 6th. They're really doing well, aren't they? They just keep edging up there and like just losing a couple of points and dropping back down again. Peterborough 15th, and they started to do quite well. And then a couple of draws just seem to have hampered it a little bit, doesn't it? The last few games that they've just been a little bit too draw heavy for me. However, let's have a look at the stats, shall we? And see how they figure out. So we have Reading 1.4 goals scored against Peterborough's 1.5, so not much difference there. Goals conceded 1.2 for Reading, 1.6 for Peterborough. So we do see a bit of a difference there. Peterborough can just let one or two in, usually 2. So we'll have a look at the next. Shots off target for Reading 3.9, on target 4.1. They are really hammering it when it comes to clinicality in front of goal, aren't they? And that's what's improved and impressed me about this Reading side. Peterborough though, 3.4 shots off target, 4.2 shots on target. So they're also clinical in front of goal. In fact, slightly more. So this is going to be a humdinger of a shooting practice, isn't it? And it does seem like that. This could be shooting practice. However, at the back, goals conceded. Peterborough are slightly more leaky at the back. Corners for Reading, 3.9. Wow, 4.6 for Peterborough. It really does show you that where they're pushing it right to the line and trying to pull it back, or shot it, or either that or they're shooting from distance. And I can't think it's that, because their ratio is too good to be doing that, unless unless a hell of a lot of them are absolute cannons that couldn't be stopped. Please do comment down below if they are. Red and yellow cards, 1.5 for Reading, 2.1 for Peterborough. This is going to be a game and a half, isn't it? I've got a feeling this is going to be a high-scoring game, and I think that the game's going to be certainly one of those where we're thinking, ooh, I'm not quite sure who's going to win it. 6-5 Reading, 33-20. Ooh, crikey, for Peterborough. So slightly edging it on the Reading side, that, isn't it? 5-2, a draw. Wow. They're not really giving much away in this one, are they? They too can't work it out. Now, okay, how do we work this one out? Because it's really difficult. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I really do. Although Reading haven't really been scoring lots of goals in the past few games, I think that they've been coming up against some really good defence. Stevenage draw, a Wrexham win. You know, they've been coming up against sides that, I mean, Wrexham certainly don't let many in. They won that 2-0. They are showing that they can do it. It's just that the teams have been playing just haven't been matched by their the on the day abilities. So Reading draw against Birmingham. Remember, draw, win, draw, win, draw. Yeah, no defeats in last 6. Equally, Peterborough, no defeats in last 6. Draw, win, draw, win, win. This is going to be... Yeah, I will start with a 3-3, and then I'm going to say that I think that Peterborough are more likely to let one in. I think that it could be Reading 3, Peterborough 2. I'm going to go really different on that one. I just think it's going to be a high scorer, guys. I really do. I think it's out of the blue. Yeah, 3-0 win for Peterborough last time out. A 1-1 draw against Stevenage for Reading last time out. Both teams at home. I think, yeah, 3-2. Now we go Rotherham versus Crawley. Please do like and subscribe, remember, and do share the video. It's Rotherham United, 1.1 goals scored against Crawley Towns. 1.1 goals scored. That's going to be interesting, isn't it? 1.2 goals conceded for Rotherham United. For Crawley Town, it's 1.9. So a little bit more of late, but I think recently they've been doing quite well. And it's only been to like the 5-1 drubbing at Huddersfield that seems to have like a collapse in defence, and you know the hearts just sink. They just gave in, didn't they? Apart from that, they've been playing quite well in defence. Take that one game out of it as a blip. Goal shots off target for Rotherham, 4.9, on target 4.3, which isn't really good because they're only scoring one per game, which is rather poor with that number of shots. And that ratio for Crawley Town, it's 4.3 shots off target, 3.5 on target, but then they've got the same number of goals per game. So actually, the ones that are on target are usually pretty damn good, which has to be a sign of something that Rotherham would have to be thinking about. When they shoot on target, they can be quite lethal. Corners for Rotherham, 6.1. It's not that they go down the wing. They don't like using wingers, but they tend to work it down the middle and then push it into the corner to try and cross it. So that's where the corners tend to come from. 4.4 for Crawley, tending more of a sort of direct route. And yeah, I have seen them on the watch-alongs that we do doing a more direct route. 1.5 cards for Rotherham, 2.4 to Crawley. This could be a game where Crawley are really hoping they don't get many yellow cards. I can't see Rotherham getting many. Rotherham have got a poor defence. I think they've got a lot of injuries and illnesses. And we didn't bring in any recruits to cover them over the January window, even though we knew we'd got issues there. So basically, Rotherham's defence is pretty shot. Rotherham United lose, win, lose, draw, lose, and they just seem to have lost the heart here. Last time out, 2-3 defeat at home to Wycombe Wanderers. Neither team brilliant. I don't think Wycombe certainly weren't a championship side when they played at Rotherham. Crawley Town, lose, draw, lose, win, and they do seem to be just picking up. Last time out, home win, 1-0 to Bristol Rovers. And I can see an improvement here. They should have won by more against Bristol Rovers, absolutely. And I'm really thinking that this one is going to be extremely tight. What are you all thinking? You all seem to be thinking a draw. Rotherham the odds are 4-9 on for Rotherham, and they're 22-5 against Crawley and a 16-5 draw. So basically, Rotherham or a draw seems to be the plan from the betting side. A draw seems to be the thoughts from you guys, because Rotherham are on the beach, and they're playing like they're on the beach. In fact, I dare say one or two of them have got the towels in the back ready. I say Crawley Town, just not lose. Out of the last 6, they've lost 2 games that are really important. Lincoln City 4-1 defeat away from home. Huddersfield 5-1 defeat away from home. This side, if Rotherham can score 1 or 2, if Rotherham score 2, I think that this side could collapse and it could be a 3 or 4-0 win to Rotherham United. However, I don't think that's going to be it. I think it could be either a trouncing and Rotherham absolutely slaughter them, or I think it's going to be Rotherham 1, Crawley 1, and we'll move on. So we go Wigan versus Barnsley, and it's Wigan in 18th on 43 points, Barnsley in 11th now on 53 points, and they're seeing their chances of getting that 6th slot just starting to wane now, aren't they? I think they really needed to be winning that last game. Cambridge United 1-1 draw at home, not very good for them, and they came back to draw that one. So although they did play extremely well, and they should have really won it by the number of shots they had and the amount of the game they had. I don't know how Barnsley didn't win that one, but they didn't. And a Wigan side who lost 2-1 last time out away at Charlton. So let's have a look. Wigan, 0.9 goals per game, 1.4 for Barnsley. So a reasonably higher figure there. Goals conceded 1 for Wigan, 1.4 to Barnsley. Shots on target, shots off target for Wigan 3.2, on target 3.3, a reasonable amount there. Barnsley though, 5 shots off target per game, 4.7 on. They got a huge number of shots, an awful lot better at shooting than what Wigan are. However, they don't seem to be getting an awful lot more on target. Slightly less than they are off target, whereas it's the opposite way around for Wigan. So they need to be a little bit more clinical, don't they? Corners for Wigan 4.8, corners for Barnsley 6. This is going to be difficult, isn't it? This is going to be won and lost. This could be won and lost on corners, couldn't it? I think this really could. Cards 2.1 for Wigan, 2 for Barnsley. Not much difference there. If you look at the odds, 6-5 for Wigan. It's 39-20 for Barnsley. And I'm absolutely stunned at that. With the number of shots, they can do this. And the way they played against Cambridge, I was just astonished they didn't get a win. Those odds are pretty good, aren't they? A draw, 43-20. They're thinking it's going to be a Wigan win. Absolutely. And if it isn't, it's going to either be a Barnsley or a draw, probably about even Stevens between them. I'm stunned by that, to be quite honest. Let's have a look at Wigan's last 6. Draw, win, lose. Draw, win, lose. But the 2 defeats, Reading at the point where they were playing really well. Charlton last time out, and Charlton are playing really well, aren't they? So that's their 2 defeats. Barnsley, win, lose, lose, draw. They've played people all around. They played Charlton and lost 1-0 away. But equally, they played Cambridge United last time out and drew 1-1. But the game wasn't a 1-1 game for me. And I just think that Barnsley could be really taking this, because they need to do something with it. But I think that Wigan are just... They're in that position that Rotherham are in. I think they're just about high enough to think, 1 or 2 more wins and we're safe, and we're not going up and we're not going down. We're on the beach. But they just need 1 more win, I think, just to make sure. And they're only on 36 games. This is their 37th. They must be thinking that they've got safety by now. They're going to get 2 wins out of their last few games, aren't they? They must be confident in that. Let's have a look at the stats again. I think that what we're seeing here is I think this game's going to be won or lost on corners. I think that Barnsley's ability to shoot just needs a little bit tweaking. It was really good against Cambridge. You just couldn't believe they couldn't win it. I think it's going to be 2-1. I just can't work out which way round. I'm going to go for Wigan 1, Barnsley 2, and I'm going to go on to our last game, which is Wycombe versus Lincoln. And we'll see what that game is. Right, Wycombe versus Lincoln. Wycombe, 1.6 goals scored against 1.4 for Lincoln City. 1 goal conceded for Wycombe, 1.2 for Lincoln City. Just slightly edging it to Wycombe, and they're at home. 4 goals, 4 shots off target, 4.3 on target for Wycombe. Really good, really good, and a good ratio as well. But look at Lincoln, 4.1 shots on off target, 4.0 on target. And you have to think, why are there so much difference in the league here? Because the stats are so almost identical. Corners for Wycombe, 4.6. Corners for Lincoln City, 5.2. This is amazing, isn't it? Yellow cards and red cards, 1.7 to Wycombe, 2.1 for Lincoln City. Where are they in the table? Wycombe are 3rd, Lincoln City are 12th. How? Well, it goes down, I think, to the number of draws. Lincoln City have just been a bit unlucky, I think, and they've grabbed a few draws where they really should have been winning. Wycombe Wanderers draw, lose, win, draw, lose, win. They didn't really win that last win, 3-2 away at Rotherham, but they didn't really play that well for me. Burton Albion back in 6 games ago for Lincoln. Lincoln lose, win, draw. Yeah, those draws seem to have been replaced by losses, haven't they? And that's why they've sort of gone down the table. But they came back against Barnsley, 4-3 defeat, and I really thought they were going to equalise, but they didn't quite manage it. I can see this one being a lot tighter than what we think. Let's have a look at the odds. We've got Wycombe Wanderers 17-20 on. We've got a Lincoln win of 29-10, so 3-1, and we've got a 11-5 draw, 2-1. They're really thinking this one is more likely to be a Wycombe or a draw. And me, for one, I think that the evenness of these the stats, and the fact that Lincoln seem to be just turning back to that ability to be back in the top 6, even though they're not likely to. They're not going to do that from their 50 points. They're really on the beach. But I can see them getting something here. It's just think of how many. I'm going to go with Wycombe Wanderers 2, Lincoln 2. And that's my last game. Please do like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. And please do share. Remember, John Esser Sports Channel. Like, subscribe, share. Thank you very much.